Welcome to another episode of that Grief Relief podcast. I'm Katie, and today is a Zoom guest, but Zoom guest in Dubai. You're all the way over in Al Sufa, we just discovered. Jas, hello, welcome. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me on the podcast, Kate.
You're welcome.
I've been looking forward to this for the past couple of weeks. Psyched myself up to a point where I had a panic attack. I'm like, no, I can't do this anymore.
Really?
No, I'm joking. No, not that
Oh,
bad.
okay. All right. Okay.
But to a point where I was like, what kind of question is she going to ask me? How am I going to answer this? What am I going to do? I had to just breathe.
No, exactly. And it's fine. I mean, I know that you're a long time listener of the podcast. And so you know the drill. We don't take it too seriously and just answer anything and tell your story. And that's all we want to know about.
Well, that's why I like the podcast. It's like two friends talking to each other. I love that. That gives me a connection to the podcast.
We were just having a quick chat before we hit record. Yeah. So your heritage is Indian?
Yes.
What I mean, I can obviously see your head where you're Sikh, North Indian.
Yeah, North Indian. Yes, from Punjab.
Okay.
That's the heritage. But I was born here.
Born in Dubai. Yeah.
Abu Dhabi actually. But so I should technically be a local with a local passport. Right, but and back and forth. My dad, I think till about 15 was in India as well. Went to West Ham for studies. His studies lasted for 10 years, I think 10 to 15 years, right? So it just didn't happen. It just happened there. He just loved it there. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna
in London.
Yeah. And then eventually he did come back because his mum was like, listen, you need to get married. Can you come back here now because you're turning 30 and hey, you know, Indian heritage, you're 30, people are going to start talking about you not being married, right? So he came back, got married to my mum, and then 30 years later, here we are.
I love that. So hang on, did your mum and dad know each other? And she was like, look, get over here, we need to tie the knot.
So that's the funny thing, right? So because obviously this is a different part of different timeline completely, right? No, she didn't actually know him. They met once before the wedding.
Right.
And my mum said, oh my God, man's hairy. What am I doing? What am I doing? But okay, actually, the great quality my dad is, he's a really nice person. So it kind of resonates when you see him, right? Not just when he speaks. Even though he didn't say a word. He was too shy to say anything at that point to my mum. But yeah, it was just, she's like, you know what, he's nice. So let's just do it. Let's just get on with it.
Jas, you mentioned your dad. I want to know all about your dad.
Why that again? That is I think. Sorry, I'm just gonna grab my. I'm just gonna control this part a little bit here. No, so my dad. Look, my dad, nicest person ever. I know every kid says that about their dad. Nicest person ever. But literally the nicest person ever. I'll give you one of the early stories I recently found out. So when he passed away, everyone from his office, from old offices, came into the house. COVID, we were like, listen, it's COVID. Don't come in. Come in for 5 minutes, give your condolences, and just leave and say, we will do this after, right? But for now, we don't want to be the reason why someone's got COVID, right?
Hang on, when did he pass away?
This was last August. So 8 months, 3 days ago.
Oh my goodness, Jas, thank you so much for sharing your story. Bless your heart. I didn't realize it was so recent.
No, that's all right. Again, one of the reasons I wanted to do the podcast again, because there are a couple of reasons. Being Indian, I understand the impact it has on your life, right? And the fact that other people are going to keep coming up to you. People don't talk about it just because it's a whole manly thing, Indian thing, and you go, oh, yeah, but why aren't you talking about it, right? Talk about it. Get your message across. So I'm like, you know what? Let me do this. Like I said, I've been preparing for the past 2 weeks. Get my tears out so that I don't cry on the podcast.
Bless you. Yeah. God, don't. I'll cry.
No, please don't.
Okay.
The empathy part kicks in, and then as soon as I see someone cry, my tears go as well. Yeah. So I don't like doing that. It's the same thing when people puke. I've got to go in the opposite direction.
Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, but going back to my dad, so they were telling me stories. They're like, listen, thank you so much for your dad, because majority of these guys came from India. Um, again, engineering degrees, but no experience in anything. So they come here, realistically 1,000, 1,500 salary. This is about 30 years ago. Engineers, yeah, proper graduate engineers. And my dad fought for these guys and said, no, get them 4,500 or get them 3,000 salary. And now all of them got families in Canada or here, and they're managers or general managers and so on. And these were the stories I was getting from all of them when this happened, when we were doing this at home. And that is literally what my dad is, right? So would just automatically, without any hesitation, if someone goes up to him and says, listen, I need help, cool, what do I need to do to get this done for you? And that was literally, that was it. That was my entire definition of my dad, right? Unfortunately for him, it was a stress ball, right? Which kind of impacted him later on in the life. But other than that, just, and party, soul of the party. If you get 5 people in a room, play some Punjabi music, right? Get a beer in his hand, he will make sure everyone in the neighborhood is going to be there enjoying him dancing, right? So that was my dad, which I'm really glad for, because it kind of passed on to me, right? So I can literally go up to any person, have a conversation with them, and be like, we've been friends for years.
Exactly. We've literally been speaking for about 20 minutes. We've had a lovely old chat beforehand as well.
Yeah. I'm so happy my dad passed that on to me, right? So
yeah.
Slightly more dickish than my dad, but that's just Can I say that? I'm sorry. Can I say that?
Yeah, why not? You can say what you want.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I'm slightly a bit more. Less nicer than my dad, but still as nice. But that is what my dad was. I'm kind of losing my train of thought.
No. You're all good. Well, sorry, Jas, what was your dad's name?
Gurcharan.
Gurcharan.
G-U-R.
Gurcharan. Okay.
Yes.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And because I just want to, out of respect, I didn't know his name before then. So talk me through kind of what happened, how he eventually passed away last year. What happened?
So my dad, it's funny. So I'll give you a quick summary of what's happened before as well. So my dad, I think 2008, when did I graduate school? 8 or 9, I don't remember exactly. I think it was A levels. So I was planning on going to Canada. I got accepted as well for on a scholarship. So I'm like, yeah, cool, let's go. We went to India to go see my family, see my grandma, because I'll be probably gone for 4 years. I won't be able to see her. I had knee issues, so we did an MRI scan on my knee.
Okay.
Turns out nothing's wrong. I was just being a little, I was just being a crybaby at that point, right? But and then my dad's had pain over the past couple of months, right? So he's like, listen, let me get it checked as well. I can. Complete luck, right? Complete luck. He checks it and like, listen, you need to get into hospital now. You've got massive growth on your kidney, massive growth on your kidney, right? We can't even. This kidney has to go. Like there's no. Fun fact, by the way, you can survive for the rest of your life on 1/6 of a kidney. 1/6. You don't need 1/6 of a kidney. You can survive for a happy life, right? A happy, easy life.
Wow.
Anyway, so we then took the kidney off.
But he didn't have any symptoms. Sorry, he literally just thought, I'll have a checkup.
No, he had slight pains just once in a while. He'd be like, that hurts a bit, or
How interesting.
Wow. Yeah, and it's funny. Again, like I said, if I probably hadn't gone for my knee, he probably wouldn't have tested it. Right? No. Again, it's a very Indian thing to do. Again, it's a very Indian brown thing to do is, doctor, I don't need to go to the doctor. Why do I need to do this?
That's probably not even an Indian thing. I think that is just a generational thing. Why is it that our parents just don't go to the doctors?
The doctor, my mum as well. I'm like, Mum, why don't you go to the doctor? These guys have spent 10 years studying this, right? So go to the, I'm a hypochondriac, so any small thing happens to me, yeah, exactly. Like, it's all right. Why do I need to go? Beta, it's all right. I'm fine. I'll have my tea. I'm okay. I'm like, Mum, tea is not a, anyway, right?
Put some ginger in it.
But yeah. Ginger, honey, turmeric powder.
Turmeric, that's what I was going to say. It's always that.
Yeah, it's always that. And it works. If you've got a slight cold and so on, it works. It's nice. But not if you've got a massive in your back or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, I think I was 18. Yeah, I was 18 at that point. They removed the kidney, successful. I saw my dad at that point. I walked in. I wish I'd never get to see my dad like this again. So unfortunately for my dad, he didn't learn, right? So this is something, again, one of my dad's qualities. Doesn't learn. Continues drinking. Not straight away, maybe after a year, gets back onto the drinking, get beer here and there and so on. Continues drinking. A couple of years later, again, it's funny. I've got so many calls because of my dad through a hospital. It's just jokes.
Really?
So at 4 o'clock, yeah. So 5 years ago, I got a call at 4 o'clock in the morning. At this point, aimless life. 6 years ago, aimless life. I didn't know what I was doing. I should stay up till 4 o'clock in the morning. Again, lucky. None of my family members would have picked up the phone. Also, I'm a very light sleeper, so I can pick up the phone like that. 4 o'clock in the morning, I get a call. Listen, your dad's in the hospital. He was flying to Kuwait for work. He's like, listen, he usually calls as soon as he lands. He then calls us. My mom's like, listen, he probably just went home and slept. Now, cool. Get a call from the hospital saying 4 o'clock. Hey, Dad's here. Come. I'm like, what do you mean, my dad? He's like, listen, everything's fine. Just come in. Just come in. Don't worry about it. All right, come in. I'm like, okay, cool. I'll come. I went there and they flipped the script on me and said, listen, your dad's critical right now because I think he got woozy. I think he had a bit of a sugar, low sugar, and he got a bit woozy and he fell on the floor.
Okay.
Again, luckily for him, this is where the turban comes in place. This is why you always got to wear your turban, right?
I don't think that's probably the reason, but I like it.
No. That is a solid reason. I've gone to a crazy accident and no scratch on me. My car flipped a couple of times, right? No scratch on me. My turban stayed intact, mine. So my top of my head hit the top of the car. They said the force that you hit this probably would have knocked you out and so on. The turban protected me.
Turban saved you.
There you go. So you've always got to put your turban on.
Okay, note for future.
Yeah. Always put your turban on. But anyway, we get there and they're like, listen, your dad fell. He's got blood clot in his head, and he's critical. All right. So this is again, I'm 23 at this point. I'm thinking 24 at this point. I'm thinking, do I call my mom? What do I do? They're like, yeah, listen, you need to talk to your family members and bring them here. I'm like, what do you mean? Why are you scaring me now? He's like, no, it's all right for now. He was in the ICU. So I didn't call my mom till about 9 o'clock in the morning. I was there alone, which, in again hindsight, I probably should have called my mom and said, hey, mom, come in. But I didn't want her to panic. So I'm like, listen, mom, I'm at the hospital. Come now, whatever. Anyway, I think it took him 5 months to recover. He lost his sense of smell, lost his sense of taste. Smell came back eventually, but the taste never came back unless and he couldn't speak for about a month and a half as well. He couldn't. The only person he recognized at that point was my mom.
No
so he wouldn't
way.
recognize. So he wouldn't recognize me. And that's when I told my dad, I'm like, Dad, you got to change your shit. When he came, I'm like, Dad, you got to change it. I'm sorry, but you got to change your entire lifestyle. You got to start eating well, start walking.
I mean, that must have been really tough for you to see that full stop.
It is. Also, what makes it worse, which again, coincidentally happened again when my dad passed away, is people forget that he's your dad, right? So they come up to you and they go, take care of your mom, take care of your sister. You got to be strong for them. You've got to be the man of the house. And I'm thinking, what's my dad do, right? My dad's in the hospital right now. Almost, we don't know if he's going to come back okay. We don't know what's going to happen. And I'm the one who stays up till 4 o'clock in the morning. So I was the one staying there in the hospital always, right? even now, when my dad passed away, it was like, yeah, you're the man of the house. Take care of your mom. Take care of your sister. Make sure they're fine. You do know my dad passed away too, right? Like, it's just one of my friends whose dad also passed away came up to me and said, hugged me, said, listen, don't worry, it's gonna be all right. He lost his dad when he was 16, so he's like, listen, it's gonna be okay. And that's when it just went, poof, everything just came out, and you cry. You go, you just get it out. You just let it go. You don't stop. Anyway, we go back go back 6 years. I'm like, Dad, you gotta change your life. You gotta be healthy. God bless my mom. I mean, it's not easy taking care of someone that you've got to make sure their medicines are on time. Their food is you can't eat non-veg. You can't have high protein dosage.
Okay.
I completely forgot. Sorry, there's a small thing that happened in the middle as well. So after the ICU, they said, "Listen, you can go." They put him in the general ward. They didn't actually know my dad's kidney had issues, so the kidney was leaking. They knew he had one, but they didn't know the other was also having issues because it was leaking salt. Salt, I think. Yeah, it was leaking salt. So when it's leaking salt, you're always going to be, you're going to be like this, right? So they put him in the general ward, and I'm like, it doesn't seem right. Why is he like this? Why is he like this? Why is he like this? Like, no, he's fine. My dad, they said, listen, you got pee in the bag that they give you. Don't get up because if you get head rush, it's not good for you, and so on. My dad's stubborn as ever, right? Which is, it's you can't tell your parents you're wrong because they'll be like, no, I'm your dad. I am not wrong, right? I'm not going to listen to you if so stubborn as hell. It's like, listen, I'm going to get up and pee. And I'm like, okay, so I'm holding him. Head rush, exactly what they said. Lack of salt, complete, like, to a point I couldn't even hold him. So they.
Is he a big guy? Was he a big guy or?
I mean, he wasn't a big guy, but again, when you've got 80 kilos of mass just dropping, right?
Dead weight,
it's not easy to lift them up. Doctors come in with those, what are they called? Defibrillators, I think they call those.
Defibrillators. Oh, what had he passed out at this point?
Yeah. So he passed out completely to a point where there was no. His heart stopped for about a couple of seconds as well. And I'm sitting there. So they've covered everything. I'm sitting there on the floor thinking I've killed my dad. Like, oh my God, I've killed my dad. Actually, it's unfortunate. The thing is, these instances kind of make me stronger for when it did happen, even though you don't expect it. But it just kind of builds you up to a point where you go, anyway, he comes back, changes his life, becomes healthy. God bless my mom, like I said. Again, he was a stress ball to a point where he goes, oh, what's going to happen with money? What's going to happen with this? What's going to happen with this? What's going to happen with that? And I kept telling my dad, Dad, why are you thinking about this? What are you thinking about 6 years from now? But you're like, oh yeah, I'm 60. I'm 60 years old in Dubai. The rules are 60. The rule is if you're 60, you've got to retire. So he pushed it till about 63. I'm like, Dad, it's fine. Like, no, you're not completely 100% in your life as well. Your younger brother's still studying. I'm like, okay. When that comes, we will talk about it then, right? Stop manifesting something, which is exactly what he did. He manifested himself into. I love my dad to bits, but he manifested the entire illness on himself because he kept pushing himself in that direction. I'll be like, stress. I'm like, Dad, why are you stressing about something that could not happen in 3 years, or it could not happen in 6 months? Why are you stressing about this? Anyway, come to a point just pre-COVID, about 6 months before, they're like, listen, your kidney is failing because, again, so much stress, so much. You can take care of it as much as you want, but obviously the 5 years of drinking that he had before he stopped, which he should have never gone into anyway.
In between the two incidents.
Yeah. They're like, listen, your kidney's failing. Obviously, they've been saying that for the past 8 years. So my mom has literally gone, for the past 8 years, made sure that that one kidney has gone up to this point, right?
Excuse me.
they're like, listen, we need to start. What's the word? What's the kidney transplant? What's the kidney thing called?
Dialysis.
Yes, yes. Sorry. I completely forgot the word, even though I should remember it. We started dialysis for about 4 months before COVID hit. Right, we
Okay.
started dialysis, and they're like, listen, we're going to actively start looking for a kidney. Okay, we're
Okay.
going to actively start
Transplant.
looking
Right.
for a transplant. Right, we're going to start looking for this. They did all the tests, found out. I kid you not, in a month, in literally 30 days, we had a kidney transplant. We had a donor in 30 days. People wait for 6 years. People wait for years before they even get. So my dad was lucky enough to get to a point where us kids, we were pushing. So this is where the guilt factor comes in. We kept pushing our dad for the transplant. We're like, we don't want to see you like this.
Yeah.
Become skinny, clothes don't fit, right? Because dialysis does make you thin. Um, Anyway, in a month's time, he got his kidney. He was like, yeah, Dad, that's amazing. That's amazing. So I'm sorry, this might make me a bit emotional. So we got the kidney. It was a 10-hour surgery, came out amazing, right? He's like, like, oh, I feel a bit, like it hurts a bit, but I'm so happy. There were no problems. Everything was going okay. My dad like, oh, I can't wait to eat proper food. I can't, yeah. And at this point, I was actually seeing a couple of people for work, so I was not allowed in the hospital. I was not allowed in
Right.
the hospital. So,
Mm.
so I only saw him for 3 days prior, because I can see him, but he has to be in a closed ward. I stand outside. We spoke. I went in. So this is my dad, by the way. This is the exact definition of my dad.
Okay.
Like, I can't fart. Just, I can't pass gas. I'm like, what do you mean? Like, just they keep giving me fruits and all of this. I can't fart. I've been stuck for the past 2 days. That was my dad. So I
But
come in,
also, what agony!
agony. Yeah, wait, right? And he's like, just all I want is just a little bit of gas to come out. That's it. Right? And I go, I'm sitting there, I'm standing outside, feeling sad for my dad because he looks. I'm like, you gotta be joking, like, Dad, no. And and the thing is, again, charisma my dad had, everyone in the hospital knew him. Literally everyone in the hospital would know Singh sir, like Singh sir. He would flirt with the nurse in front of my mum, right? But not even proper. Like, he'd just be like, "So, nurse, where are you from?" Like, "Oh, I'm from here." "Oh, yeah, lovely place. I've heard lovely ladies are from there." My mum would look at him, give him a look. I'll be sitting there, be like, "I don't think, Dad, you shouldn't be doing that. Like,
It
mom's
sounds
giving you
like all
looks
of
like
you
that."
in your family have perfected the eye roll when it comes to your dad.
Oh yeah. That we at one point we don't even do that. We just look at each other, go, "Yeah, Dad,
Right,
that's
done.
just yeah." And yeah, it turns out my dad had a unique set of blood, right? Very rare, very rare. It rejected the kidney. It's a white blood cell. So my dad had a very rare set of white blood cells, which is a 1 in a 1.5 million case kind of thing, right? Yeah, one point,
Mm.
like some. When it's meant to be, when everything's written in it for it to happen, you can't get away from it. So I don't believe in. I might get really. So I'm not a very religious person. I'm not. Uh, uh, but again, you've got to believe in something when everything just lines up for that to happen, right? So 1 in a 1.5 million thing. The white blood cells rejected the kidney transplant.
Mm.
So the day he passed, August 6th, 5 o'clock in the morning. I just couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. 5 o'clock in the morning, 5:30 in the morning, restless. I'm moving around. My mom calls me at 6 and says, "Just, I'm going to the hospital. I don't feel well. Can you come?" So I'm like, yeah, cool, mom, I'll come right now. I'll drive down right now. So I drove down. My dad was okay at that point, right? But they had taken him to the room. Um, Again, put the blinds up and everything. So his heart rate was very faint. So they were trying to So again, unfortunately for my dad, see, like I said, everything was written. The reason why I gave you the whole story. So the years of putting needles in his in his veins, putting needles all across the thing, they couldn't find the vein properly, right? So the only thing I could hear from my dad was because so they had to put it in the leg somewhere. Um, only thing I could hear from my dad was it hurts, right? It hurts, and you go, you're sorry, just give me a second. Ooh.
No, please, you're fine. You're absolutely fine.
Um, anyway, so he goes, it hurts. Yeah, I think that was the last words I heard from my dad. Um,
Mm.
again, you know what the crazy part is? Sorry, I'm just gonna give me a second, right?
You take as much time as you need.
It's all right, don't worry. Again, so my dad was a warrior to a point. He came back 7 times, so his heart stopped, got back. At an average, is about 2 or 3 when you come back. Came back 7 times, right? So the thing is, he wanted to come back. It's just his body says, I can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And that was it. That was it. Later on, we didn't even know about the white blood cells. It's when we found out later on that he had the white blood cells. They're like, we can't check for them because it's so rare. We don't actually go and see if this is a possibility. It's they've had like 8 cases over the past 60 years, right? So they obviously eventually they asked us if we can, if we give permission to for them to study this. We're like, yeah, you
Yeah.
can do this. That's not a problem. You can take this on.
That's
So
phenomenal that you agreed to do that. And I think it is so important.
yeah, it was because you don't. I've realized one thing here because you feel bad, right? You feel like I said, a sense of guilt kicks in where you go. First of all, I didn't see my dad on a regular basis, and we were the ones pushing for my dad's surgery. And then obviously, then you start thinking, we just got a kidney transplant, or my dad's gone. It's sad. Maybe that kidney transplant could have saved someone else. Now it cannot, obviously. But what we can do is just make sure that the blood tests and the blood and everything, whatever was collected from my dad, can be used to make sure nothing it doesn't happen to someone else again. So yeah, so I mean that was it. That was we were sitting in the waiting room. I think it was me, my mum, and my sister at that point, my brother as well. We were sitting in the waiting room. Um, my mum's like, he's gone. My mum's like, he's gone. I'm like, no, he's not. Why are you
As
saying
in
that?
she had a sense.
Yeah. She knew. She like, he's gone, and I'm telling you, she's gone. I think we left the hospital at like 3 a.m. that day. We had to literally force my mum to leave the hospital. Like, I don't want to leave him. I don't want to leave him. I'm like, mum, so we said our goodbyes. We said our goodbyes before they put, obviously, not to sound crass, my defense mechanism kicks in, right? So this is where I start joking about death and everything. So I apologize from the
Welcome. You're in
get-go.
good company. You're absolutely
Yeah.
fine.
I apologize to your listeners if they think I'm a bit crass, right? So I literally told my mum at this point, I'm like, Mum, Dad's resting in the morgue. Why do you need to be there as well? So, and she looked at me mortified, like, just what are you saying? I'm like, Dad, Mum, there's a limit to how much you can cry in a day. You can't once you're done, you want to cry, it's just gonna hurt you more, right? Your throat's gonna come up till here, your eyes are gonna hurt. You can't cry anymore, right? So all you can do is just laugh. Right? But he's resting. Let him rest. All right, he's been stressed for the past 6 years. He's resting right now. Let's go back home. Let's get you resting as well. If my mum had the strength, I think she could have slapped me that day, right? So
By the sounds of it, you needed it, but it was fine.
yeah. I mean, look, that's unfortunately, like I said, even to my girlfriend the other day, so we were watching a show and it just came up. One of the scenes, I think it was a dad mom scene, and she's like, "Oh, imagine your dad does this with another woman." And I'm like, "Well, I can't kind of imagine because She's like, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "No, no, I was just joking, right?" It's
Yeah.
at the end of the day, unfortunately, it's happened. Right? We can't get away from it. But yeah, that was it. We forced, and then it's a massive cultural, you know, the whole cultural thing of taking care of the body, right? Taking care of the body, because we don't bury, we cremate,
Okay.
right? So we've got to get permissions from here and there and there. So the hospital was really nice. They helped us. They said, "Listen, this is an agency that will help you from the get go." But again, it's not. It's something that I had to do alone, because you have to leave my mum. I had to leave my mum. I'm not going to let my mum do this, right? So my mum's
Mm-hmm.
alone. So so I went in, got his passport cancelled, got him did the cremation bit of it as well, and then so there's a four-day prayer at the house.
Okay.
So we did a 4-day prayer. On the fourth day, this is brutal, right? I told my mom this afterwards. I'm like, why are we doing this? What's the point of doing this, right? So they give you a turban. Your dad's picture's there. So they give you a turban and they put it on you. So basically signifying you're the head of the family now.
Wow.
Right, right, right. And I've got a picture of my dad in front of me, and they're doing that in front, and I'm just like, it's just flowing to a point. I went up to my mum after. My mum, never in a million years should anyone do that, ever. Right? You're already hurting, and you're putting a cultural thing on top of it. But anyway, it was nice. I mean, lots of people came. Nothing brings anyone closer than marriage or death.
Mm.
Right? So either it's marriage or death. So people came in, paid their respects. Um, Again, like I said, charisma. My dad, go to any sort of hospital or any sort of place. So the place where I go for a trim. Again, not allowed to trim. Just so that your listeners don't, All right, so but I do it anyway. So I used to take my dad there for a pedicure and a manicure, right? So
Nice.
every 2 months, well, it gets my points up as well. So every time, be like, Dad, let's go. Get my dad to pay for it. Get my points up. Get a couple of free trims as well. So we would go there, and these guys loved him to a point where they'd be like, they would have 4 people around him. You need one person, right? They'd
Yeah.
have 4 people around him just to listen to his stories.
Yeah.
So I didn't go for a trim for at least about 4.5 months.
Like
I
a good
couldn't.
Sikh boy.
What like a good Sikh boy? Yes, I couldn't. I just couldn't. I just couldn't.
So when you said about the 4-day prayer and obviously people coming to pay their respects, etc., your dad, when was your dad cremated? Is there a certain time period that they must be cremated?
So realistically, it should be as soon as possible. But again, because you need to get a couple of permissions and so on, you need to get permissions from the cremation place. You need to
Yeah.
cancel the passport. You need to get a cancellation paper from the company that's giving them the visa. All of that. So
Right.
it's it like I said, the agency helped us a lot. But yeah, I mean, it's 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 a process. It's a process. There's I think realistically, when someone passes away, there's a 7-day prayer. It's a
Okay.
7-day 20, it goes on for 24 hours. Yeah, 24/7, 24/7 for 7 days. So there are people. So uh, the process is there's a holy book, right? They read the holy book in terms of easy access passage to wherever he's going or whatever.
Right.
I'm
Right.
assuming,
Yeah.
right? Again, because we don't again, like I said, complete different conversation, but we don't have a concept of hell and heaven in our religion,
Okay.
right? So there's it's a nothing and everything kind of situation.
Okay.
Right, so and your energy, basically your body is just a vessel. Once you're cremated, your energy goes back into it goes back in, right? It mixes back in, right? So when you say, oh, I get good vibes of this person, or I get
Mm-hmm.
bad energy from this person, that's what from my point of view, that's what we mean in terms of that is someone passing on those good energies to that person, and you feel that and you go, cool. Must have happened to
Right.
you. Or you meet someone, you go, oh, this person
Oh,
reminds me of my dad or my mum,
yeah.
right? So that is a small overview of what we do. But again,
Mm-hmm.
this is not the exact model of it. But I'm like I said, I'm giving you a very 10% kind of
Yeah,
thing
of
of it.
course. No, I appreciate it. Thank you.
And yeah, I mean, sorry, um, what, and then we did it for 4 days. We did it for 3 days actually because COVID, right? And
Yeah.
it's supposed to be at the temple, but we had to do it at our house, right? So yeah, so we just did it for 3 days, and even with the COVID
2 seconds.
restrictions,
My doorbell has just gone. Sorry, Joe.
please, that's amazing.
You had no idea why the doorbell's gone. 2 seconds. Oh, great. Thanks very much. Thank you. Ah, good old Amazon delivery. There we go.
So are you going to leave this in the podcast? Because that's amazing. I love that.
Yes,
I
so
love that.
most of the time on the video, so the video is like the added extras. On the video, I just leave most stuff in when Poppy attacks people and things like that. But then on the actual audio podcast, I normally chop bits and pieces out.
Chop this out. Oh,
Yeah.
cool. That's great.
When you said about COVID and it had to be at your house, because that's what I was going to say, because that was quite, although in the UAE we were out of our like strict lockdown, but we still had really strict restrictions for people coming to houses. So how did that work?
So logistically, it was just a nightmare because in this time, not a lot of people came. So people generally come for the main prayer. The actual the prayers are for the family members and so on. But once it's going to finish, people come in. So we sent out a message saying, "Hey, listen, we're going to be doing this. We're going to be doing this on this day. Please, please, please try to come in cars that don't go above number 10 or so. If you have 5 people together, come together, see if you can do that, and park a bit further out. Don't park in front of the house because you don't want neighbors to complain about it. And stay for 20 minutes, pay your respects, and please leave, because if you don't do this and someone complains again or someone catches COVID, it's going to be a massive
absolutely, and huge fines and stuff as well.
Exactly. There you go. So I'm like, listen, 30 grand fine or 5 grand fine, whatever it is, keep your masks on as well. So we went out the day before, got bucket loads of masks, right? Got sprays. So everyone's wearing their masks on. Everyone sits in, and these people, again, I've noticed this a lot. Religious people don't tend to focus on the COVID aspect of it, right? So like,
really.
Yeah. I've noticed that not just with Sikhs, it's just in general. It's God's gonna protect me kind of thing. Right. So,
right. I have heard that. I have heard that a lot, and from a lot of different religions,
Yeah. I mean, they just go, and they were praying. They've taken the masks off. They're sitting close to each other. We've created like squares for people to sit in, where they're not close to each other. Literally everyone comes in, we're spraying them with hand sanitizer, we're spraying the door handles, we're spraying the glass before we give them a bottle of water or anything. We're literally spraying everything. We're giving people masks, and even then people take the masks off and they're praying to, once they get into the hole. Again, I am not a very religious person, right? And till that day, I think about 4 days I'd kept everything inside. So I didn't want to show my mum that I was crying, even though my mum kept saying, cry, get it out of your thing. I cried. I did cry, but I just didn't want my mum to see that I was just, So I don't know if you've been to a temple, right? So what we do, we do it with music. So we've got a tabla. I don't know.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, I know tabla. What it is, but please do explain what it is for anyone listening that doesn't.
So these are very two small drums where you play with your hands, really small ones. I don't know what they're called in English. I forget the thing, but drums, small drums, and they've got a little organ kind of thing as well. So we do it through music. So the prayer is sang, right? The prayer is sang. One of the guys that was doing the prayers, oh my God, he could have been on American Idol or Britain's Got Talent or whatever.
Really?
Right? It was incredible to a point. When something just lifts off your chest or your shoulders, that heavy feeling that you've got. Once that was lifted, I could not stop crying to a point. When it was just a waterfall kind of thing. It wasn't even tears at this point. It was just your eye ducts opening and the water just coming out. It was just like that. It was good. It was amazing. But again, people didn't listen. We had to ask people after 20 minutes, be like, can you please leave? Can you please leave? Can you please leave? For the cremation though, we just kept it. We only called about 6 people. We didn't tell.
Mm-hmm.
We didn't tell people when the cremation is going to be, because they were not. You're not allowed to have more than 8 people anyway at the cremation. So it was just 4 of us and 4 family friends. 5 of us. Well, my sister. 4. It's about 10 people there. Yeah, do more than what the thing was, and they don't make it easy to die in this country. To be fair, so they don't.
Okay.
It is, yeah, it's a mass. I mean, it's not easy to die in any country.
No, but you're right. And because, funnily enough, we were speaking about this the other day, because I think I don't even know, as a British citizen, whether I definitely know I can't be buried here. I would have to be repatriated. My body would have to be repatriated, but I'm not even sure I can be cremated here. I'm not sure I can, can't I? I don't know.
I think I don't know this yet, because
Yeah.
for us as well, the realistic thing would have been to actually go back to India, because that's where my dad wanted to be cremated anyway, next to his mum and dad and so on. Obviously, we couldn't travel because of COVID, right?
Yeah.
And so we had to do everything here. It's just not easy, because again, it's just not nice seeing your dad go into an oven like a pizza, right? So it's never a nice feeling. So you go, oh my god, and then again go back to that place and pick the remains up, clean them and everything. It's just death is not pretty.
No, death is definitely not pretty. And then on top of that, with the restrictions of COVID and bits and pieces like that. What about your mum was obviously in a terrible way. The whole family was in a terrible way.
Yeah.
But going back to the point of you now being then this, the head of the family. First things first, amazing that your mum was saying to you, just please cry, like please show your emotions. It's absolutely fine. Instead of being, no, you've got to suck it up now.
Yeah.
What about, what then happened afterwards? That responsibility being on your shoulders, did that allow you to grieve? Talk me through that, because it's only a few months ago as well. Like, that's what I'm trying to get my head around.
Well, that's the thing. Like I said, luckily for us, our family's a bit more, being raised here, but my dad also being in the UK, me going back and forth a couple of times. Same with the family. The thought process is a lot different. There's no don't hide your feelings kind of thing, right?
Nice.
It's still they're still in Indian touch to it, which will never leave, because that's a cultural aspect of it, right? But there's always never been a thing about hide something from us kind of thing. We're not gonna. It's not. We're not gonna hurt. We're your parents, right? If you're not gonna come up to us, obviously this came a bit later on. When I was younger, when I was 15, 16, I used to hide everything from my parents. But later on, as I've gotten older, I've realized, you've got to go to your parents. Who else are you gonna go to when you've got problems? And my parents encourage that, right? So talk about it, talk about your feelings. So if you're down, which is funny, because my dad actually encouraged us to do this, but he hid his own stress part internally and just kept building that up, right? Which is again like a generation thing as well. But yeah, they did let me grieve to a point. I mean, our thinking was, look, it's just us now. Like, it has to be us. There's no one else that's going to come in and hold your hand and say. People will say, let's offer, call us for whatever you need, and so on and so on. People will do that, and some of them might actually help you, but realistically, no one knows what you're going through. None of them. No one understands what it feels like. No one understands. Even, it's funny you mentioned this, but even your own brother and sister and your mum don't know, because everyone grieves differently. Everyone has a different way of getting it out there, talking about it. For example, my brother would never do this podcast. Never in a million years would do this podcast. Never.
He's younger than you, right?
He's young. He's 7 years younger than me, so he's 23. He's 23. He would never come on this podcast. My sister maybe. My mum as well would never. But again, I've realized this, as 8 months is not a lot of time, but is also a lot of time for you to grieve, right? So I have moments where I call my sister. I have moments where I'll be like, listen, because I've just started a new business, right? So first thing you want to do is call your dad. If you got any problems, you want to call your dad. I've even dialed his number a couple of times and I've gone, oh, well, I can't, shit. no one's going to answer this phone, right? And then I've gone up to my mum and spoken to her about this as well and said, Mum, and she's gone, yeah, just she's spoken about it. She's like, yeah, I miss him and so on. So we talk about this. We talk on a consistent basis. But again, there is a barrier to the conversation because, like I said, even they don't know how you are grieving. They understand your pain, 100% they understand because they've gone through with it. But they don't. Everyone grieves differently to a point where you go, you've got to do it alone. I think 3 months after my dad's thing, I used to get panic attacks. Right,
Really?
just out of nowhere, I couldn't breathe. I'd be crying. Even in the house, I'll be lying down, and it will just hit you like a brick. It just hit you suddenly, and tears start rolling down. My girlfriend would be sitting next to me. She'd go, "Just talk to me." And in my head, I keep saying, "I don't want to talk. I just want to cry. I just want to be in a position where I can get this out." And the only people you can call, so I talk to her for sure, but the only people realistically that you can call are is your brother and your sister and be like, "Hey, Prad." So my brother's name is Prad. Hey man, listen, I went for a trim today, for example, and just wanted to talk to someone. How are you feeling? Right? Like I was feeling down, so I'm just checking with all of you. How are you feeling? You okay?
Yeah.
Be like, yeah. Like, so do you want to? Don't be scared to talk to me, even if all you want me to do is sit there for you. I will not say a single word. I will not say a single word, and you just want to cry. I will sit there and hug you. I will not say a word to you. If you don't want to talk to me, but you just want someone around, I've become a lot more bullish on that. I've said, listen, you've got to get it out. Don't keep it in. Don't because this. I said this earlier in the podcast. You manifest things for yourself, right? So if you keep it in, if you especially something so heavy, it's not going to be a good thing in the future for you, right? So get it out.
No, yeah. Did he grieve badly, or how did the three of you grieve?
So it was really tough for my sister, obviously, because you're as a daughter, again, like you said in the start, the son goes to the mum, or goes to the dad, right? You're the little one. You're the apple of the eye for the dad, right? And my sister's made a lot of sacrifices over the past couple of years. The fact that I have an opportunity to open whatever businesses and so on is because she let me go onto that path and understand what I need to do and work and help dad with the financial aspect of it, right? So for her last 2 years were literally, her aim was to get dad in a financially free kind of situation where he can go to Canada where his brother is, or back to the UK where one of his cousins is, whatever, right? That was her aim for the last 2 years. And so for her, when he passed away, she's like, a sense of direction, a sense of belonging, a sense of a part of me is completely gone to a point where I don't know what my next step is. I was doing this for dad and mum, and dad's gone now. So I don't know what. So for her, it was really hard. I think she calls me once in a while and says, "Oh, I cried," but she won't tell you. I think she would cry with mum a lot more than she would with me and my brother.
Okay.
Right? Or she would just cry on her own and just message me and say, it's a lot easier to communicate on WhatsApp sometimes, right? So when you call the person, you go, okay, yeah, cool. There have been times I've cut the phone and I say, let's talk here, because it's a lot easier to type it out than to actually, when you say the things out loud, you cry, it becomes heavy. Exactly what I did with you when I was talking about my dad, tears came out. If I was WhatsApping you here, it probably wouldn't have hit me that hard, right? So yeah. So,
also, it wouldn't have been a great podcast.
I mean, then when we would be putting my WhatsApp chats online. Now,
yeah. Maybe there's a niche in the market there, Jas, that we need to look into.
For WhatsApp chats, for sure.
WhatsApp chat podcasts.
WhatsApp chat podcast. So a cheaper version of a Clubhouse.
Interesting.
or a cheaper version of a clubhouse. So just create a group on WhatsApp, record conversation, and then just you can do
Done.
that.
Yeah, straight over.
Anyone listening with a tech background, please follow up on this.
Just get in touch for sure.
Yeah.
Now, normally with when I speak to people who shared their story on the podcast, I'll ask about how they've got through their grief or what was their grief relief and what have you. But I'm just so acutely aware that you are still so deep in it, being that it was just a few months ago. But are you able to answer that at all? Is there anything that's helped you through? Oh, there is.
Yeah. I mean, so look, like I said, humor helps, right? So when I joke about a couple of things, people look at me, why are you joking about death? Because I've been in a position to be face to face with someone who's passed away, so I can joke about this. You cannot.
How does that work culturally as well? Because so in my culture, people are like, oh, you can't really say that.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've offended a lot of people over the past 8 months. It's even when I talk to my my uncles and everything to get on a conversation, I joke about this. I'd be like, well, I mean, at least he's chilling up there, probably drinking some whiskey, and probably drinking some whiskey. And he goes, why talking like that? And I'm like, whoa, where did that come from? Like,
right.
Yeah, but I'm because I'm aware of different cultures and how they react. I know who I joke to. So, for example, someone I know has lost a parent or lost someone, a beloved one. I don't actually go and joke about. Right? It's on my personal expense that I joke. On my dad's level that I joke about it. I think reading helps. I read a lot, right? So so every time I feel a bit down, you can't get away from it. You can't run away from it. You cannot change it, right? That is the reality of it, right? You're gonna have days where you're gonna feel like shit. You're gonna have days where you're gonna cry. You can't get so. One of the things I've done is I've accepted it. Be like, just what can you do? You can't do anything about it. So all you can do right now is accept it. Okay, so acceptance is a big step in getting your life back to some sort of normal, right? And that acceptance, unfortunately, has to come from you. It can't come from your mom. It can't come from your sister. It can't come from your significant other. It has to come from you. So I've learned how to breathe because, again, like you get panic attacks. So one of the things you do with panic attacks is you've got to breathe. You've got to get your breathing back in order. Once you start getting that into the habit of breathing, you can control that. So when you get hit with the whole, my dad's gone, I can't, it's gone. Exactly. There you go. What you did there.
Yeah, how weird. And that was an involuntary reaction, but it's almost like a defense mechanism, isn't it? You're trying to protect yourself a little bit by filling your lungs.
Yeah. Your brain goes into a defensive mode, and you go, because your brain goes into protection thing, because you're not breathing, you're holding your breath for about 15 seconds. Your brain thinks you're dying, right? This is an actual fact. I had to research this. I can actually share this information with you as well. It's a psychological thing. Your brain thinks you're dying. So automatically it has to go. It can't think of the fact that you're thinking of death or you're thinking about your dad passing away.
Okay.
It has to protect its organs. It has to protect everything. So it loses that train of thought for a second, and then you go back into the whole thing. Go, oh, okay. Once you've controlled your breathing, then you can start thinking about the grieving part of it. Be like, okay, cool. It's all right. It's okay. Everyone has to go at one point or the other. Unfortunately, it was my dad's time. Right? What I can do, all right, what I can control is how I change my life or change the moment that I am in currently. How that changes when I take the next step, right? That's all I can change. So my dad wanted me to be this, so I can take that step towards that direction and make my dad happy wherever he is. If if he is, again, and the crazy part is, it's not even you that comes up with these things, it's the other people. So my girlfriend's come up to me, my girlfriend's mom has come up to me and said, did a call with her, she barely speaks any English, but she told me, she was like, just, I felt your dad's presence, right? And so she's a doctor. For a doctor to tell you this, so she goes, listen, he's going to be around you till the point you need him. Once he's 100% sure that you guys don't need him anymore, that's when he's going to see that hits you. That's when you go. That's when you can't control your breathing or anything. That's when you go oof, cry again. But breathing. I think breathing and just this is why I wanted to do this podcast specifically because of this. Talk to people, right? Even it's especially from a culture where we come in where it's taboo to not talk about mental health and to not talk about feelings, especially if you're a man, right? Years of doctrination in terms of don't talk about this, you're the man, you're the breadwinner. I wanted to come on this podcast and be like, listen, it's okay to cry, it's okay to talk about this, it's okay to seek help. If you think that you need to talk to someone and that is not a family member and a professional, it is okay. Go to that person, right? There's so many wonderful places here, online places as well that you can talk to. But don't keep it inside, because if you keep it inside, especially if you think, oh, because oh, my wife is going to think I'm a weak person, or my kids are going to think this, or the people, or my neighbors, who gives a shit what your neighbors think? Who gives it? Why? Who gives a shit what 5 people down the road think of you? What you need, if you're not mentally okay, if you're not physically okay, if you're physically okay, not mentally okay, that's going to pass on to your loved ones as well. And they've already gone through such a massive thing. Don't add on to it by holding yourself back in and making it worse for yourself and for them.
Yeah.
And so it's, and I think that is why this podcast is such an amazing thing. Just getting people to talk about their about their experiences. It gets other people to open up as well, right? Just the fact that they know they can get in touch with you, for example. They've seen me on a podcast. I'm more than happy to do this as well. But if they've seen this podcast, they listen to this, and they've gone through something like this, get in touch with me. If you want to talk to me, I'm more than happy to talk to you, right? Also, there's a certain limit to what your personal, what you can take personally. Obviously, if 100 people come into me and say, hey, man, listen, let's talk about my death. I'll be like, okay, listen, I meant 1 or 2, right? No. But realistic, yeah, I'm more than happy to talk to someone. Listen, if you're going, especially through the cultural aspect of it, if you're struggling with the cultural bit of it, come get in touch and be like, listen, grab a beer. If you do drink a beer, I'll grab a beer at a bar, at a pub, and I'll have a chat with you. If you don't drink, fine, I'll grab a beer. You come sit with me.
Right? No, and it's true, and I think it's so important for this to keep happening culturally. What's the word? Not genes, culturally, gender wise, obviously, again, because you're ticking all of these like politically correct boxes for my podcast right now. But because it is, we spoke about this on Instagram, is that I was acutely aware that a lot of obviously it started with my family, but acutely aware that most of my guests were white, Western, female, that kind of thing. I knew it would take a little while for the word to get out. But then obviously it became so apparent that people in the South Asian community, the Arab community, just don't talk about this stuff. And not only do they not talk about it, like it is super taboo, super frowned upon. And as I said to you before, the DMs that I've received from people who openly talk to me on DM, and then of course I will always ask the question and just say, if you ever want to share your story on the podcast, but oh no, I could never, like my family would be this, or I could never do this. And so, I am so beyond grateful for you wanting to come on for so many reasons, not only from a cultural aspect, but just because of how recent it is, Jas. It's wonderful what you're doing. And I love the fact that you've offered for people to reach out to you as well. You'll just be bombarded. But look, if you start a podcast, all right, we're going to be enemies.
Well, no, I do have a podcast. I just don't talk about grief and everything.
That's true, so that's actually. Okay. Yeah. What is your podcast about?
was it so well, one of the things we wanted to do was so I love talking, right? So
Okay.
you probably have noticed that in this podcast, all right? But I wanted to give power to the people that the smaller businesses. We want to hear about Apple. We want to hear about Microsoft. Why? Who runs the economy of the country is the small businesses. The run by mom and dad businesses, the small businesses that make the economy stronger. So we wanted to talk to these people, right? So
Mm-hmm.
these are the people that we tend to invite. So I recently had a confidence coach, Dr. Nancy Haynes, on my podcast. So she was just talking about how, yeah, just confidence in general, being self-aware of the whole thing. So these are the kind of people that we want to bring on. We had a CEO of a smaller company called Yalla Baby. So this is what we do. We literally bring
That's
people on with
brilliant.
really,
What's the name of the
yeah, yeah.
podcast?
Well, for now it's called Gilbert and Singh podcast because the name of the other co-host is Gilbert,
Gilbert and
right?
Singh. Yeah.
Yeah. Unfortunately, like I said, in the middle of like 6 episodes while we were posting, my dad's thing happened. So we
Right.
stopped. I stopped. To a point where I could joke off camera about this, but I couldn't actually get on camera and be like, "Oh yeah, hey man, everything's all right, cool, yeah." I couldn't do that. So it took us. So we've just got back to it now, which I would love to invite you and talk about your introduction to 97.8 and well,
Yes.
we can
Yeah.
talk about that later on.
I thought you were going to ask me
But
some like really like some inspirational stuff, and I'm like, oh, I'm not sure about that.
oh, we could do that as well. We could do that as well. I mean, look, this is like I said, this is amazing. The fact that even you mentioned earlier about people coming into your DM and saying, "Oh, I know what you're going through, but I can't talk about it because my family would frown upon it." And this is where I go up to them and say, again, I don't want to sound. I, I'm gonna let me just rephrase this in my head as well. Right? So you are a white woman that goes up to them and says, "This is what the thing is." They do not understand that,
Mm-hmm.
right? Unfortunately, they DM you. Yeah, they for them that's okay. Their parents or their uncles or aunts or nephews and nieces, they don't understand that. Why are you taking advice from her? Because she's not part of our culture. She doesn't understand
Yeah.
what's made you like this. And I think that is the complete, again, pardon my friends, complete bullshit. Right? You shouldn't be thinking. Well, you shouldn't be thinking like this. It's just because now I have this accent doesn't mean I don't think about people go up to me and be like, "Oh, where are you from?" Just because you have an accent. I could be Indian, or you don't know. I could be South
Yeah.
African. I could be Australian.
Yeah.
Why does it make a difference? Why do you have to ask me where am I from first to understand if I can resonate with you, especially when it comes to such an important aspect of life, right?
Mm-mm.
Well, yeah.
And an
But yeah,
aspect that it doesn't matter who you are, what you are, what your religion is, what anything is. Everyone dies.
everyone dies. There are two things that happen every single time. You're born and you die, right?
Yep.
You cannot, right? You have astronomical, well, crazy odds, 1 in a billion odds that you're born in this particular situation where I can DM you, speak to you in English, a privileged life, right? I can speak to you in English and say, "Hey, listen, I know what you're going through. I've gone through the same thing. Don't let go of that. Don't.
Mm.
There are people in parts of the world that are dying on a regular basis, and they're suffering through mental health, and they have no one to talk to. You do,
Mm-mm.
right? So you
Mm-mm.
do. So why waste that opportunity just because culture or religion told you that you should not be able to talk to this person, right? Just because I don't understand. Just okay. Now for example, let's say a Hindu or a Muslim person comes up to me and says, "Hey, man, listen. Hey, I've this happened to me." I might not understand what your process is, but I understand death. I understand
Yeah.
what
And
you go through with it.
it doesn't get any more simple than that. You can strip everything away at the end of the day. If it's death and it's grief, then yeah.
Exactly. Like like for example, again, you wouldn't do this podcast. You wouldn't understand. It wouldn't make sense for you to do this podcast if you hadn't gone through with your parents as well, right? So now,
Quite.
right? So I wouldn't be sitting here doing this podcast and talking about grief if my dad's thing didn't happen, because I don't. At the end of the day, he's passed away. Someone you've loved has passed away. That's all the common factor that you need to have a
Mm-hmm.
conversation with me. Okay, I'm not saying let's be best friends. Let's do this, but you're right. Let's have a conversation. Let's talk about the fact that, okay, why can't your family members be okay with the fact that you're talking to someone if it helps you, all right? Just because it's frowned upon. Again, it's the same taboo thing that you have on mental health as well in general. Right? We're not, again, years of indoctrination. Don't talk about it. If you're a man, man has to be strong. All right, it's the woman that has to be weak. It's all that was 50 years ago. That was, I mean, it still happens now, but that thinking should be left 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Right. So
is it
sorry,
Amazon?
my phone's on. No, I should have put my phone on silent. I've done this like 3 times now. I keep forgetting to put my phone on silent.
Fine. Yeah, as you say, death just levels everything, doesn't it? And levels everyone and what have you. Now, we've spoken about your podcast, but yes, I always ask a guest for an Instagram account or a podcast that they would recommend. Are you going to recommend your own podcast, or do you have another one?
I have a couple of ones. I just don't remember the names, because there's one, I forget the name. It's
you can look it up if you want. It's fine.
Yeah. No, because I don't remember the name. I actually don't remember the name.
See. So right, okay.
Yeah. But what I'll do is I'll share this whenever you post this. I'll put this on the comment section as well.
Okay, good.
This is the podcast. But yeah, you're more than happy to check out Gilbert and Singh. See this personality in a different.
When you said, so Jas said before we hit record, Jas said, I didn't really know, like, should I be wearing a shirt? I wasn't sure. Am I going to tie my turban? And I was like, no, man, like, this is cool. This is exactly what we want. Yeah.
No, because the reason why I say this is because the logo for Gilbert and Singh is with me. It's a cartoon version of me and the co-host George.
Okay.
It's and I've got a turban on. So unfortunately, every time I record, I've got to get my turban on because that's branding. The brand image now.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That's the branding. But if I go on other people's podcasts, it's all right. I can go.
Yeah, you're absolutely fine. Just thank you so much. I've loved hearing about which again sounds a weird expression, but I've loved hearing about your dad and your dad as a person and learning about it. And I'm really grateful for you sharing your story. And I know we're going to be keeping in touch. That's for sure.
Yeah. Again, thank you for having me. I've enjoyed this thoroughly. Right. Again, I say this again. Anyone wants to have a conversation, please. I'm always there.
I'm gonna add Jas's Instagram to the links and everything underneath, so you can find him and get in touch. And whilst you're there, like and subscribe and review and do all of that malarkey that I always forget to put in, but it's all good.
I just want to do that at the start of the podcast. Be like, if you want us to continue doing this, what if I don't get to the end of the podcast?
Yeah, that's true. Although that reminds me of the bit, I don't know if you're a big Friends fan, but when Phoebe finishes one of her songs and she goes, if you would like email updates from all my shows, then please give me some money so I can buy a computer.
1 second. First of all, you said, if I'm a Friends fan, right? Oh. Yeah, who is not a Friends fan? If you have friends that are not fans of Friends, you've got to seriously reconsider being friends with them. Right, so,
I have, and I'll full name her. Her name is Nancy Bragg, and she messaged me the other day. You know, Gogglebox, right? And she said, "Oh, the celebrity Gogglebox is really good, but you'll love it. Loads of Friends reunion," and then put a yawning emoji. It's just not the kind of negativity I need in my life, Jas, actually.
No. See, you don't need that, especially when you've got a grief podcast. You don't need that.
Yeah, I need positivity in my life all the time.
Yeah. No pun intended. You need proper friends. Right?
I mean, in fairness, Nancy, I love her. So she's very lucky that I love her dearly. But yeah, that was an interesting. I mean, don't even get me started about the fact that she said on Gogglebox, she said, "Oh, you'll love it because Mel C was on it, or Mel B, one of them." I'm like, how do you not know the difference between Mel B and Mel C? So there's a number of reasons why Nancy and I's friendship are being questioned right now.
Question. I look, so the Spice Girl thing, and that's a bit out of my expertise, right? So I'm not going to comment on this, right? So.
Right, we'll just call it a day then, right from there.
Yes,
fine.
Yes,
all right,
yes,
okay. But you're not going to be filling Nancy's shoes anytime soon. Jas, thank you so much. I'll speak to you very, very soon, and take care of yourself and give my love to all of your family, please.
Thank you so much for having me, Katie. I look forward to hearing more episodes.
Absolutely. Speak to you soon.
All right, have a good one.
Bye.